Hello, everybody, and welcome to another HPCritical podcast with your lovely Jarrell.
Hi.
Kelly.
What's up, everyone?
Brandon.
What's up, everybody?
And your most annoying podcaster, Gabe.
You have to say hi, Gabe.
Oh, hello. I have to say hi. Introducing everybody.
Yeah. I think it's only right so that they know who the voice is. You know, you gotta let the people know. So thank you for that wonderful introduction, Gabe. Why do I do it? You're putting me out of a job. You should clearly just do it every week. Obviously, you were better at hosting than I am. Speaking of hosting, you see that segue? That's actually not going to happen. How are you guys? Aside from tired.
I've been all right. It's been a decent week so far, I'd say.
I'm exhausted. Yeah. I was even off Monday, and it's been just a hard week.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow is Friday, and I hope that it's gonna be a great Friday and a great weekend for you guys. So let's talk about some video game stuff so that everybody can listen through the weekend. Starting with, I know something that Gabe and Brandon is super excited about. That is Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga finally has a release date.
Go.
What's the release date?
April
5th. Yes.
2020. 2022. Sorry. 2020 was its original release year.
Oh, really?
That's true.
Yeah.
This game been delayed a while.
It literally every spring the past 2 years it got delayed. Because 2020 it's coming out spring 2020. Then it was delayed to holiday 2020, and then it was delayed to spring 2021. And they were like, "Yeah, we're just delaying the game until next year. You guys are just gonna have to deal with it at this point."
So all of you like Star Wars, right?
Yes.
I adore Star Wars, yes.
I know Kelly likes Lego because she talked about it before. Brandon and Gabe, do you guys like Lego? The Lego games?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I mean, here's a funny thing. I've never owned a Lego game, but I have many friends that have owned them, and I just always play co-op with them, and I always have a good time. As far as the Lego Star Wars series specifically, I played a bunch of one and two with a friend. I never got around to 3 or the other spin-offs, but I'm looking forward to giving this one a go, for sure.
Well, let's talk about the Skywalker Saga. In late 2017, development studio TT Games began work on LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga at a time when dozens inside the company were at odds with management, citing frustration over tight development schedules, the company's crunch culture, and outdated development tools. More than 20 current and former TT Games employees tell Polygon that calls for change over the years have largely been ignored. This is an article from Polygon.com titled "LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga has led to extensive crunch at TT Games." The longtime LEGO game studio has spent almost 5 years on its latest project. Multiple people who worked at the studio remember breaking down outside of work hours because of the workload and some of the stresses they were under. So I realized that I chuckled at that. So let me explain myself. I'm not a horrible person. It's because I read broke down and I thought how Legos, you know how you break the Legos.
Oh my God.
It was a really bad. I apologize. It was,
if you really want to know bad, our good friend Grayson, who has been on this podcast before, had retweeted something about this, and I commented in a post like, "Dang, they should have built a better development strategy."
They should have built a better development strategy. I saw it. It was a very soft-spoken blackmail. One former employee says, if people don't start doing overtime, there's going to be problems. Although the problems were never specified. Some former staff even came up with a term to describe their experiences at the studio, referring to them as PTTSD. With the Skywalker Saga, an adaptation of all 9 main films in the Star Wars series, management promised employees a longer development timeline and a new engine. Unfortunately, this did little to improve the situation. According to employees, multiple staffers say the management ignored warnings about switching to NTT, which is a new engine being developed internally, and say that the longer time frame was unsuccessful in alleviating crunch. So I know that this podcast has talked multiple times on multiple occasions about crunch. We've had a guest developer come on and also talk about crunch. And question, since you all love Star Wars and you all love the Lego series, how do you feel hearing this? Will this deter you from playing the game? How does this news make you feel personally?
Crunched harder. Wanted the game 2 years ago.
Okay.
I'm completely kidding. No, it's not going to deter me from buying the game. If even to me, at least, this is even more reason to buy the game, to pay those poor developers. Hopefully, a good amount. It sucks. It's also kind of crazy that there was so much crunch, I'm assuming, throughout the 5 years. And even then, the game kept getting delayed. So then that makes you wonder how much crunch did they do over the past 2 years? Since obviously, the game is supposed to come out 2020 and they were crunching since then. So kind of sucks. Again, it's something in the gaming industry that needs to be looked at. I wouldn't know how to work around that. I'm not a manager. I'm not even a supervisor or a team
Yeah,
lead,
I'm
so
not asking. Sorry to cut you off, but I want to explain. No, I just want to say that I'm not asking how you guys would deal with it specifically because I know that we've talked about it before. So I don't want you to think that I'm asking like, how would you deal with crunch? Like, if you want to know how Gabe would deal with crunch, if he felt like he was a developer or director, you'd have to go back and listen to one of our episodes. So please.
I don't even think I offered a solution back then either, but.
Well, I mean, I posed the question and you guys had some answers. So
yeah, but I mean, it's not going to stop me from buying the game. To answer your question shortly, even though I just went on for like 3 minutes.
Well, Kelly, Brandon, how did you guys feel when you heard this news? How do you feel?
Yeah, I just heard it for the first time when you just said it just now. So I think that there's like a certain level of crunch that like probably every video game has at the very end. But if the end was 2 years of crunch, I really hope it wasn't the case. I mean, I hate to see people like breaking down at their jobs. I've been there, but not working on video games. So was it worth it? I'm not sure. I still will probably buy the game because I like Lego games a lot. I've played quite a few of them. And they're always so much fun. It's like, I don't know, it's just like a family friendly, like fun game. I'll probably will buy it. This doesn't really change it for me because like Gabe said, they deserve to get paid. I guess would they get bonuses? I mean, they've been getting paid the whole time. So it's not like they wouldn't get paid, but if the game doesn't sell, I imagine there may be some repercussions. So definitely want them to make their money so that they can continue to make Lego games. I would really like that.
Well, for me, I'll just say real quick. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm probably still likely going to get the game anyway. It's like, it very much sucks hearing this story on the same day that it got its release date too. Like that was like, you're like, people are like happy, like, yeah. And then they saw the crunch, they're like, oh. It's very much a shame. Like any crunch story is bad, but of course being accompanied by the long-awaited release date that we hope sticks this time is just a bummer. But yeah, I'm gonna buy the game regardless. I'm just glad that even though the timing seems poor, at least the story is out there. As much light as we can shine on these crunch developers, we can. Hopefully, it will be something that will be a thing of the past at some point. That's all we can do, really.
I think what bothers me the most about this story is that it's Lego and it's Star Wars. And like, I can only imagine being a developer who loves Star Wars, who also loves Lego games, and being in a position where, I get an email that's like, bitch, you better do overtime. And I'm like, but I'm dying. But also like, I love these franchises. So I can imagine, pushing myself further than I would on, like a brand new IP, for example, just because it's Star Wars and it's like Lego, and like everybody loves fucking Lego games. Lego Harry Potter games were the shit. A lot of people like Star Wars. It's really sad. There was a thing that the employees could get. It was either flex time or overtime, I believe it was, and they could exchange overtime hours worked for extra pay or days off. So there were some type of incentives, but it didn't really, as far as I read, it didn't really amount to anything. As a matter of fact, excuse me. Oh no, I lost it. Here it is. Jack Yarwood, who put this piece together, said the quote, been speaking to current and former employees about the culture at TT Games since last August. They told me more about the challenges of working on Skywalker Saga, the studio's history of crunch and low morale, and the poor treatment of QA staff and women at the studio. So I'll leave you guys to go read the rest of that if you'd like to over at polygon.com. Let's talk about probably the biggest news that happened this week, which I'm pretty sure is going to take up most of this rest of this podcast. Actually,
Frankly,
wait.
Mm-hmm.
Before I do that, what have you guys been playing, if anything?
It's been pretty much the same rotation as last week. Pokemon, Great Ace Attorney, both of which I finished. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned that last week or this week, but whatever. Finished both. Final Fantasy 12 continues as usual. And they also just dropped Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, so I've been touching on that a little bit because it's good.
The only thing that I've played is Animal Crossing.
Every week that you say Animal Crossing, I just think that Kelly's week has been horrible. Like, if the only game she's played is Animal Crossing, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, because it's like the only thing I really have time for. Because I like turn it on for like a few minutes and like fuck around. Because I can't do it long term. It's like a very short game for me. It's like I'm going, I talk to my villagers and I leave because I'm bored. Like,
yeah,
that's
one of those like you just do your dailies and then log off.
Yeah, that's all I can do.
Oh, well, I've only played Smash Bros. And Battlefield 2042. I have not had time for the video gamies.
Yeah, it's a rough time, and there's so many coming up that it's going to get even worse. So let's talk about a few more things before we hop into the big news. The first one being that the new Batman movie starring Robin Pattinson is 55 minutes long with 8 minutes. 2 hours and 55 minutes long is what I'm trying to say. It is 2 hours and 55 minutes long with 8 minutes of credits afterwards. That's a long movie. I went to the movies for the first time, y'all, since the pandemic. I went to the movies for the first time in like 2 years. And I realized that I'm Spider-Man. And I realized that I'm really old because after like an hour and a half, I was like, oh my God, when is this over? I can't sit in this chair anymore. I had a horrible headache. I'm super old now. I couldn't see. I couldn't concentrate. Too many sounds. Too much. It was too much. And I was like, oh my God, like I can do this. I can't do this for 2 hours. Who the fuck gonna go do this shit for 3? Any of you, how do you guys feel like sitting in a theater watching a 3-hour movie? Would you do it or would you not?
I love long movies.
I eat 3-hour movies for breakfast, bro. Like when I'm in a regular theater, go.
But like, I mean,
go ahead. No, I was just gonna say that's becoming a little more common as of late. I've noticed like the 3-hour movies, like Avengers Endgame was like starting that trend. Then the No Time to Die, James Bond was 3 hours. It's like, what's up?
Endgame did not start that trend.
It didn't. No. You're right. Lord of the Rings was probably.
No, I wasn't even going to mention Lord of the Rings. I was definitely going to mention Avatar, and it's 2 hour and like 30-minute boring ass movie by James.
People
Cameron.
really did turn on Avatar in this last decade. That's crazy. But like, okay, let me frame it in a different way then. Classic movies used to be long as fuck. Like they used to be like really long. Then they kind of dialed it back, and now in recent years, let's say that it's starting to get a little more popular because I feel like people that are making the movies, Hollywood and whatever, are realizing that if the movie is big enough, they can get away with it, I feel, because they know that the common complaint is like sometimes a lot of these movies that have to cram in so much story feel rushed, and then they're adhering to only an hour and a half to 2 hours. They miss a lot of things. So if they have enough clout, then they'll go for a longer length. And I feel like he's Batman, man. Like if there's any franchise that can get away with 3 hours on their reboot, I would say it's Batman. That's your question. I mean, as long as the movie's entertaining, that's all it is for me. If a movie is not entertaining, it don't matter how long it is. You will feel the length. It could be an hour, and I could be like, it'll be the longest hour of my life. Or if it's 3 hours, it'll feel like the longest 3 hours. But if I'm entertained, it flies. It flies.
Maybe it's because I've been watching movies in the comfort of my own home lately. But I went to the movie theater, my neck was hurting, my legs were sore. I was like, who does this and why? Popcorn was $20. Yes, I was watching that movie and it was a good movie. And then I thought, I wish I just watched this shit at my house. I love watching long movies at home on my bed. Like HBO Max and Disney Plus have changed the way that I enjoy movies, and I made my own popcorn for fucking free because I ain't buy it. Somebody else in my house bought it. It was great. And then I went to the movie theater, and like an hour and a half in, I was like, what? Like, and I was on those nice recliner seats, so I thought it would be better. So I, sat back, and I was like, and I was like, this is still bad. So no thank you to long movies at movie theaters anymore for me. What about you, Kelly? Would you watch a 3-hour movie in the theater?
I feel like it depends. I'm not super into like the Marvel movies, so like I'm not gonna go do that. But like fucking Titanic is like over 3 hours long, and I've seen that like multiple times. It used to be on 2 VHS tapes, you know.
But in a movie
So
theater?
like, I mean, I couldn't have seen it when it was in the movies because I was like 5. So I mean, but I probably would. I watched Avatar in the movies actually twice, and I was not bored to death. But now I don't. My attention span's not that good anymore. Like I'm gonna have to get up. The other day, I actually went to the drive-in, and we saw Spider-Man: No Way Home and Venom 2, and I was almost asleep by Venom 2. Like I was like dozing. It was hard.
But double features, like that's a lot though. Like to go from how long? I don't know if any of you know how long was Spider-Man No Way Home? Like
long
hour
as
count?
fuck.
It had to be at least 2 hours.
It was over 2 hours.
Yeah, minimum 2 hours.
It was like
Okay,
2
And
hours, 10
then-
and
minutes.
then Venom No Way. I'm Venom.
Venom No
Venom-
Way Home.
It was
Oh.
like an hour and a half only. So.
Yeah, it's a very short movie. So it comes out like barring breaks, it comes like to 3.5 hours. But still, double feature. It don't matter how long the length ultimately is. Double features are hard if you're not ready
your
for
car
it.
can be comfortable too. You know how many times I done fell asleep in my car in college?
You
Great.
say while driving, I was like, that's not safe.
No, I don't fall
Nah.
asleep while driving. I also don't fall asleep while in the shower. Gabe, please, what about you?
Well, some of us actually, whatever.
Would you watch-
I
Yeah.
I would 100% watch any length. Okay, not any length movie in the theater,
Yeah.
but like something that I want to watch, like Batman. Yeah, give me 2.5 hours of Batman beating the living shit out of someone for stealing a pack of gum from a
It's
grocery
literally
store.
2 hours and 55 minutes.
That's
it's
fine
3
with me.
hours.
Look, listen, here's what everyone has to know about me. I
Mhm.
watched the Lord of the Rings religiously. I watched them in theater when they came out more than once. Also, I
Oh, you
watched the
got
extended
money.
versions now. And the extended versions all put together are, I think, let me see. They're a little over 13 hours, I believe. And I watched them in one sitting in my house. I don't give a damn how long a movie is if I like it. Also, when I was younger, am I allowed to say this? Yeah, when I was younger, I had someone who worked in the movie theater. And so for my birthday, I spent an entire day just watching movies in the movie theater. I don't care. I love watching movies in movie theaters. It's comfy. The only time I don't like watching movies in movie theaters is when they're short, because I just feel like I just wasted $20 to sit in something I could have waited release at home. I hate short movies. You make short movies, you suck. Sorry.
All right, well, Banjo and Kazooie is coming to Nintendo Switch Online this month.
It's actually now. As this recording, it's out.
Okay, and Zelda, Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is
Majora's
coming out in
Mask!
February.
Woo!
And coming to Game Pass are the following games: Death's Door, Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, the Hitman Trilogy, Nobody Saves the World, Paparazzi, Rainbow Six Siege Deluxe Edition, Taiko no Tatsujin, the Drum Master, Windjammers 2, and Rainbow Six Extraction, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction. Any feelings on any of those games either coming to Game Pass or coming to Switch Online? I'll tell you what I think real quick. I'm excited because I want to play Death's Door on Xbox. Gabe wrote a wonderful review that you can check out at hpcritical.com about Death's Door, so I'm excited for that one. Also, I'm excited to finally play Majora's Mask, and I'm happy it's coming out in February and not later at the end of the year. And that's it for me.
I'll make it quick. As far as the Game Pass, I'll start with that. I'm very happy that Death's Door, Danganronpa, and Taiko no Tatsujin are coming to Game Pass. That means more people can play those games because they're all great. So yay! As far as the Nintendo Switch Online stuff, I've never put like serious time into Banjo-Kazooie, so I'm glad I'll finally have that opportunity. Though I'm probably going to be waiting till February because that's a future Doesn't Hold Up episode, my friends. So look forward to that. And as far as Majora's Mask, I mean, that's my favorite Zelda game of all time. You know I'm hyped for that. Definitely looking forward to giving that another go. I'm one of the few, like, look, we've talked about this before, I think, but Ocarina of Time, the 3DS version is better. It's unfortunate that's one they're not chosen. In Majora's Mask case, though, I think there's enough differences in both versions that I wouldn't go as far as say the 3DS is the definitive version of Majora's Mask. There's very much value, I think, in still playing that console version, at least for that game. So hopefully there's not too many emulation issues, because that seems to be more common lately. Hope that's not the case, because I want that game to be smooth, but we'll see.
The only game that I really care about is Rainbow Six Extraction. I watched some gameplay of it when I was watching a stream. It looks pretty good, and it'll be on Gamepass, which I pay for even though I don't play video games. So yeah, probably play that. Don't have any friends, but unless you guys want to play. It's like, I don't know, it looks pretty good.
Draw, you're muted.
Draw, you're muted.
Oh,
okay.
I'm really excited for Majora's Mask next.
Thanks, Gabe, for making that super succinct. That was awesome. So something we didn't get to talk about last week that I quickly want to touch on is that Xbox players are fed up with forced crossplay against PC gamers. Xbox players can't escape some PC cheaters. Xbox players are growing increasingly frustrated at being forced to play against PC gamers. While crossplay was initially a popular request from Xbox and PC players that Microsoft has backed strongly for years, those playing first-person shooters on Xbox are struggling to opt out of the experience to avoid PC cheaters. Games like Call of Duty Warzone and Halo Infinite force Xbox players to match against PC gamers in a variety of playlists. You don't have to look very far to see why people are angry about it. Now that cheating in Halo is confirmed on PC, can we have the option to opt out of crossplay? Asks one Reddit post in November, just weeks after the multiplayer version of Halo Infinite launch. The reason I brought this up is because, once again, they're bringing some more first-person shooters to Game Pass through Rainbow, including Tom Clancy stuff that we just mentioned, Rainbow Six Extraction, etc. Do you think anything should be done about this, and how do you feel about it?
It's so funny. Go ahead.
I think it is hilarious, but I'm actually a little shocked by that story because there's so few games in the grand scheme of things that really support crossplay. And if I'm being honest, I thought more of those crossplay games had, I don't know, like a toggle or something. It's like Xbox only or crossplay features. But if you're that Halo doesn't, it's like, interesting. Maybe they feel they don't really need to because Halo's only on two platforms, Xbox and PC. And to Microsoft, they essentially just consider it the same thing, more or less, because they equally support the Xbox PC these days. So maybe they just don't find it necessary to even do that. They should, but maybe they just don't think I think maybe they just see PC and Xbox as just two different extensions of their same business model. I don't know.
I just find it funny because I play on PC and I hate controller players so much, like, because they have auto aim. Like, you don't have auto aim on mouse and keyboard, you know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I guess there is cheating, and it's probably pretty bad. And I get pissed if I'm playing against people that are cheating, but like, it's just funny to me that they're complaining like, you have auto aim, like, shut up. I don't know. It's just funny.
As much as I want to make fun of Xbox players for being little babies that can't get good, no, I think every game should have should have a toggle for on or off crossplay, because as a PlayStation player playing crossplay and then you go on and you're playing against someone on PC, like it's one of the most annoying things, because like it's not even that it's like subtle cheating, it's like they run rampant around the map, whatever, like, hey, I'm cheating and I'm gonna get you eventually, and it's really annoying. But then at the same time, like, the benefit of crossplay is quicker matchmaking. Like, for example, Chivalry 2 has the toggle on and off, and I think it turns it on in the beginning, but it lets you know, like, hey, you have the option to turn off if you want. And I let it go on, and the matchmaking was fast as hell, but then I started losing a lot. So I was like, it's definitely because I'm playing against PC players, not because I suck at the game. So I turned off crossplay, and it took like 5 minutes for me to fight a match. So like, I could see where the benefit of them not having that as an automatic option in, say, games like Halo. Like, again, not bringing it up to make fun of them, but Xbox not doing as good with their new console sales. Like, obviously Halo's playable on the older Xboxes, but I guess they thought more people would play it on the new ones. That's why they didn't really give an option. But yeah, there's a good and bad to crossplay that needs to be looked at. Because another thing is too, like a lot of the anti-cheating software is usually up to the game developers themselves. Like Call of Duty has they just started implementing what the hell is it called? I think it's Riot Shield. It's a the anti-cheating software they use. And like you see it in effect, but it takes a while to get it everywhere and get into every other server. So I don't know. Make your players happy, Xbox. Turn that crossplay off.
So real quick, gonna talk about Square Enix for 2 seconds. There are two things I want to say. One of them is that Final Fantasy 14 goes on sale once again on January 25th, 5 days away from this recording. So if you haven't been able to play the game, you can finally play it again. Things are much more stable. You don't have to wait a week before you can log in and play. And you can play relatively simply as soon as you log in. The other one is that the Kingdom Hearts collection is coming very fast to the Nintendo Switch, and right now you can download the demo and see if your internet can handle cloud versions of the game. If you'd like to see how we feel about it, Brandon has a wonderful article over on HPCritical.com giving his impressions on the cloud gaming versions of the Kingdom Hearts series. He also has some of those videos up on YouTube so that you can see just how much better his internet is than mine. And that's all I have to say for Square Enix. Now I can talk about the big news of the gaming industry this week, which is that Microsoft has agreed to buy the video game maker Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion. I'll repeat that just in case you didn't hear me. $68.7 billion. Might as well just round it up to $70 billion, which is the largest takeover ever. And this is going to take effect in 2023. And just so you guys are aware of what that, well, first of all, that 68.7 billion is going to be paid, and this is going to take effect in 2023. People, of course, were wondering, what does this mean for Activision Blizzard games? Why did this happen? Blah, 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 etc. And I'll let these three tell you what they think about it right after I say this. Phil Spencer put out a tweet recently that said, had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry and we value our relationship. Also from this, Xbox Phil Spencer talks Activision buyout wary of Apple, Google, Facebook entering gaming. There's a quote here that says, Nintendo's not going to do anything that damages gaming in the long run because that's the business they're in. Sony is the same, and I trust them. So we're going to go a little bit into that Washington Post article as well. And then I want to see how you guys feel about this $70 billion takeover. I shouldn't call it a takeover, acquisition, the $70 billion acquisition. Right. But before we do that, we're going to see you guys in a second. And welcome back. So first things first, let's talk about what is included in this acquisition, because we are talking specifically about the $68.7 billion that Microsoft spent to acquire Activision Blizzard. Call of Duty, Warcraft, Candy Crush, Tony Hawk, Diablo, Overwatch, Spyro, Hearthstone, Guitar Hero, Crash Bandicoot, StarCraft, and even more are coming to Xbox thanks to this acquisition. This includes people across the companies of Activision Publishing, Blizzard Entertainment, Beanox, Demonware, Digital Legends, High Moon Studios, Infinity Ward, King, Major League Gaming, Radical Entertainment, Raven Software, Sledgehammer Games, Toys for Bob, Treyarch, and every team across Activision Blizzard. That's a lot. That's a lot of motherfuckers about to be under the Xbox umbrella. We could have this whole conversation about, the was it $6 billion they spent for ZeniMax Bethesda? 7 million. Okay.
Yeah.
So 70 million. 7 million.
Well, 7 billion. 7 billion. It was for ZeniMax.
7 billion. Thank you. 7 billion and 70 billion is that's a huge.
That's
um
and that funny thing is that was the previous record holder for
Yeah.
biggest gaming acquisition, and boy, this blew it out of the water by 10 times.
And so what I was going to say is we could talk about that, but we have already talked about that. So if you'd like to see how we feel about that one, you definitely have to go back and listen to the podcast episode. And if you don't know which one it is, that just means you have to listen to all of them all over again until you find it. There's only like 97, 96, 98, somewhere. There's under 100. Okay, so we're not there yet. But that reminds me that we are coming up on episode 100 very, very soon, like in a few episodes. So hopefully we'll be doing something special for episode 100. But we're not here to talk about episode 100. I'm here to give you a few more details on this whole, how you say, I called it a takeover, but I mean acquisition. Is that what I said before?
Right.
Yes, that's what I meant. So Xbox CEO Phil Spencer has had a few things to say on this. And there's an article over at the Washington Post titled Xbox CEO Phil Spencer on reviving old Activision games as Microsoft positions itself as tech's gaming company. With its $68.7 billion acquisition of mammoth embattled video game publisher Activision Blizzard, Microsoft will be taking on a lot. It will be absorbing a company criticized by its employees for its workplace culture, one that is embroiled in lawsuits alleging gender-based discrimination and sexual harassment. Microsoft will also be taking on game development studios that have inched closer to unionization over the past several months, but it will also be adding an element that newly minted CEO of Microsoft Gaming, Phil Spencer, sees as core to Microsoft's strategy for consumer acquisition, a slew of video games and long-abandoned franchises. Asked about the workplace complaints faced by Activision Blizzard in a 10-minute interview with the Washington Post on Wednesday, Spencer said, quote, "I believe the leaders there believe in the opportunity they have in their plan." Noting his confidence the issues will be resolved. In addressing the potential of bringing on unionized workers, he said his company will aim to empower its new employees to do their best work. I don't want to break this down too much, but I do want you guys to keep in mind when you're giving your opinion on this, that there are about 6, 7, maybe 8 companies, all with employees that all are now going to be under this umbrella as well. So, whether you think that means that some employees are going to be left behind, whether you think that Microsoft is going to accept these unions that are being talked about, whatever, just keep all of this in mind when you give me your opinions on the situation. And discussing some of the intellectual properties owned by Activision Blizzard, Spencer's excitement may have mirrored the enthusiasm of a StarCraft player noticing the long dormant franchise's logo in Microsoft's acquisition announcement. "I was looking at the IP list. I mean, let's go," Spencer said. "King's Quest, Guitar Hero. I should know this, but I think they got Hexen." So essentially, I'm not going to read more of that, but he makes the point that there are a ton of Activision Blizzard legacy titles, essentially, that have an opportunity to be brought back to the forefront. So for him, this acquisition not only is big for the big names that I mentioned earlier, but it's also really big for what the future can hold for Activision Blizzard and those games that are not necessarily as popular as they once were. There's another article here that I'm also not going to go into, but it essentially talks about whether people think that this acquisition was due to the lawsuits happening at Activision Blizzard. There's another article on this that I'm also not going to read that talks about why this acquisition was not due to that, and it was actually it actually talks about why they believe that Bobby Kotick is not going to be stepping down as the CEO of Activision Blizzard versus why people think that he's going to get kicked out after Xbox acquires Activision Blizzard officially. We know that he and his company are obviously still under investigation, so there's a lot to unpack there. You can talk about it or not if you'd like. I don't know what you guys want to say. I don't know your opinions on this at all. I'll find out in just a few minutes. As mentioned, he did say that he confirms that the already released games out for PlayStation are going to remain on that platform. However, there are also lots of articles speculating that anything going forward is coming to Gamepass and may no longer be available on PlayStation. So that is also a point of contention that you can bring up if you'd like. And I think those are all the big things. If I forgot something, add it in your explanation of how you feel about this acquisition. But before you guys tell me all about it. Gabe has a wonderful piece on hpcritical.com going into
You want me to read it?
about this. I mean, no.
I mean, either way, you guys are gonna hear bits and pieces of it because I almost memorized that article word for word.
I don't want you to read it. I want all the viewers to go read it on hpcritical.com. It's a nice little tongue-in-cheek piece that Gabe wrote with his heart. And if you love Gabe, you should definitely go check it out at hpcritical.com.
And if you hate me, you should still read it because I want to argue with you on Twitter on why you're wrong.
There you go. So yeah, the $68.7 billion acquisition is happening. Let's go person by person. Who wants to go first? How do you feel about it?
Oh boy, who wants to take this first? Because I got dots.
Okay, but also don't be long because y'all got 30 minutes.
Okay, I'll go first. So I'm a big fan of Microsoft. I think we all are aware of this. I think that it's a huge acquisition. I really hope that they don't take all of these titles off of PlayStation. I don't think they will. I think that they'll make probably some of them exclusives, but like stuff like Call of Duty, it's going to be on every platform every year. I mean, they'll probably still be making them every year. The one thing that I think is good is that Microsoft is like a great place to work. Like it's pretty well known that Microsoft is like a good like just environment and stuff. Like I've been on Glassdoor a lot lately, which you can read about like jobs and stuff. And like Activision Blizzard is rated so low and Microsoft is rated at like a 4.4 out of 5 stars. Like it's a good place to work. So I feel like these people that have been there, the good ones at least, they're going to get to like work at a better place. Hopefully Microsoft will take care of some of the, problem humans that were at their obviously at Activision Blizzard, but I don't know how they'll do that. Like Jarrell said, there's still an investigation, but I think this is kind of cool. I don't know. It's weird because Microsoft and Sony, they're not video game companies. Like they are, but they're just like huge tech companies. Like Sony made TVs, like, or they still do, I guess, but they make like a lot of stuff. And so does Microsoft. It makes computers. Like that's what they do. They make operating systems and that's what they do. So it's like they're huge tech companies. So acquiring this much gaming, like this many gaming companies in like one swoop is crazy, but they have deeper pockets than gaming. They have tech money. So this is nothing for them. Like they've been around forever. This is not like, to them, it's probably pocket change. I mean, how much do you think Microsoft makes? I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know if it brings good things or bad things. I think it brings good things for the employees because I think Microsoft is just going to be an all around better place to work. The treatment is going to be better. They probably would not have their name on something where people are getting harassed. Although, I don't know. I'm not sure. I've never worked there. So I'm only going by what I read online, which, that you can't trust that. I don't know. I'm excited about this, but I don't really know why. I guess because I just like to hear about video game stuff happening. I don't know. Is that why? I don't know. It feels like more games will be on Gamepass, which I love. Like, so I'm okay with that. It seems like there's like a lot of good titles and some things like Activision Blizzard have dropped the ball on. I mean, maybe Microsoft could get some of these titles back on track. I think they're taking on a lot, but I feel like some of the titles that people have been really upset with, like World of Warcraft, like people have not been into that game lately. Like maybe we can do something more with it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like it'll just be better for everyone. I hope. That's really all I have to say. You said so much, but I can't remember it all because it was so long. So, okay, I'm done.
All right. I guess I will go next. I want to second what Kelly said because if I'm being perfectly honest, the first thing I noticed about this acquisition was how much freaking money it was. That was the first thing for sure. But like Kelly said, it's chump change for Microsoft considering they're dealing as far beyond just gaming. They do tech and computers and whatnot. But the second thing that caught my attention was like, okay, Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, the problematic company we've been talking about for the last few weeks / months. Could that be a good thing for their work environment? And honestly, hearing you say that, Kelly, that Microsoft is just known to have like a good place to work, it gives me more hope than I had when I initially heard the announcement, and I had a little good amount of hope to begin with. So that just makes me feel even better about the situation. Plus Phil Spencer's statements about him noticing, let's just say noticing what's been going on with Activision Blizzard, and with that knowledge, I'm sure this was not a decision made lightly, and it just makes me hope beyond hope that this really does improve things. Now, that being said, the ink won't technically dry until 2023, so there's still a lot of autonomy that Activision Blizzard are going to enjoy until then. That includes its current board. So it's unfortunate that it still has to last as long as it is, but it does bring me hope that change is going to be coming soon, and that's something I want to enjoy. But beyond the HR of Activision Blizzard, which is obviously very poor, going on like what this actually means for like the gaming industry, it's a little concerning if I'm being perfectly honest. We said this when Bethesda/ZeniMax was acquired by Microsoft, how that's probably going to be a lot more exclusivity going forward to Xbox and PCs as opposed to everywhere. But especially for Bethesda's sake, like it would hopefully improve their development pipelines and their games, like getting them out on time and not announcing them 4 years before they're actually ready to come out, stuff like that. I don't know if Activision Blizzard necessarily needed that in terms of like their development, because I don't think that was something that, I mean, you could argue about the quality of the games or like the Call of Duties or whatever, but as far as them actually coming out, I don't think that was necessarily the issue. But I'm still hoping, regardless, that with all the, what's up?
So there was an article that I did read about it. I don't remember which one it is. I'm going to loosely not quote them. But essentially it said that there are a lot of companies within Activision Blizzard, and they don't have all the necessary abilities that they would like. And so with the backing of Microsoft, this definitely will bring them to a level that they weren't able to be at before. To go into what you were saying.
Oh, well, that's even better. Honestly, thank you for telling me that, because that gives me a little more hope then. It could mean more possibilities, because Activision Blizzard, so often, and I guess Microsoft would go through this too, but Activision Blizzard is notorious for shuttering studios that doesn't meet their sales standards, however exaggerated they may end up being. But it does give me hope that some game franchise might make a return in that case. I saw some few people on Twitter saying Toys for Bob is free. They can make Crash games and not just help with Call of Duty now. Stuff like that. That's always a possibility. I think all in all, I think there's a lot of people that are either painting this as nothing but a positive, and there's people that are painting this as doom and gloom. And the truth, as they say, often lies somewhere in the middle. I think there's going to be positives and negatives to this acquisition in the end. Like, obviously, if you're a Gamepass user, you're going to be eating, because now that's just so many more games that will probably be added to Gamepass for you. So yeah, if you're an Xbox PC gamer, this is nothing but benefit to you if you will like those games and whatnot. But if you're a PlayStation player, for example, I'm sure you're probably sweating a little bit, and of course that's a concern too. I know people are, monopoly is bad. That's just a common sentiment. Competition is good, and we'll have to see what happens. I'm not ready to paint this as like a completely bad news story. I'm not really ready to paint this as a completely good story. It's an insane thing that has happened in gaming this week. And we're a podcast team. We talk about the gaming news. This is going to be a lot of news going forward, even before this deal is finalized. And I'll say this much. It's the first time in a while I've actually been happy to talk about Activision Blizzard, because the last few weeks has just been like, what shitty thing have they done now? And let's talk about how bad it is. And I can't wait till it's just a long series of, I don't know what they could do. They just keep digging themselves further in the hole. And to be fair, this is not them getting out of the hole. It's far from it, but it gives a possibility that maybe they will, because now they're absolute higher ups is no longer Bobby Kotick and his team of scum. Now it's someone higher that could possibly do something about all that stuff. Interesting to see how this goes. Very interested. Game future is not good, not bad. It's interesting.
Abe, your turn.
Bro, you gonna say something positive or negative?
I have both to say.
Well, you go first then, because I'm purely negative.
No, you go first. Actually, I don't
All
want
right,
to end
well,
the podcast on all negativity.
Everyone has said something beautifully nice about this acquisition. I got several things to say. I'm gonna start on the money front, and no one's gonna agree with me, but I think you have that much money to blow on another company. It's a shame you can't make your own exclusive games to challenge Sony's. Just means you don't know what to do with your money. You didn't know what to do with your team or whatever.
You're right. I don't disagree with that.
I disagree.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said someone wasn't gonna like it.
I don't necessarily.
Even though he laughed on my joke in Slack, guys. I made a joke about
did.
that, and he laughed.
I did. I don't necessarily not like it. I'm just saying I disagree. This is.
I don't know. What were you say? What?
I was just gonna say that this is actually a really smart business move. To like, this is a great way to spend your money.
Oh yeah,
that's a good business move. Yeah, we agree.
Yeah, it's definitely a smart way to spend your money. But again, it means you suck at making your own games.
And if you do, then you know what you do. If you suck at making your own games, you buy some
make games. Buy them. There you go. They're playing to the strengths.
Before I run out of time for that, even though I'm not going to touch on it much, the whatever the fuck the Activision Blizzard CEO name is, Bobby
Kotick.
Yeah, that guy. He's, regardless of what happens in the summer of 2023, which is when the financial year thing goes into effect for the acquisition to be complete, he's going to walk out that door with a shit ton of money. Either it's going to be paid to him or he's going to acquire it within the next coming years, but he can be kicked out. We're still going to leave with a bunch of money. Fuck that guy. I think, and again, this is going to be highly disagreed with, Xbox is a little slimy because Phil Spencer for the past year and a half has been on that high horse of games are for everybody, console wars need to end, we love Sony just as much as they love us, we don't want to take away players from their community. But then it's very high looking, especially off the things he's said. A lot of the bigger names, sure, not everything from Bethesda and now Activision Blizzard is going to be Xbox exclusive, but a lot of the big names, a lot of the big hitters they're definitely going to be. There's nothing within the next 2 years that's going to change my mind in thinking it's not. Like Phil Spencer himself can be like, oh yeah, this game, or for example, let's use Overwatch 2 and Elder Scrolls 6. Like, oh, these games are going to come out, on all consoles until I go into GameStop and buy those copies for PS5 or no, yeah, PS5. It's not coming to Switch, that's for sure. PS5, I'm not going to believe anything he says. I think they're doing I don't know. I think they're full of shit, to put it in loose layman's terms. Because I know part of their plan to make games accessible for everybody is to get an Xbox app, virtually anywhere. And I'm pretty sure within that scope of anywhere, they're trying to get a PlayStation. I think it's, again, I don't believe them when they talk about this whole community thing. I think they're full of shit. It's eventually going to be either, you have a PC to buy these games, or if you don't, if you want to play the next Elder Scrolls, you want to play the next Overwatch title, you got to buy an Xbox. I mean, good for them, because that's good. That's going to bring, like, regardless of what I say, it's going to bring a new player base. People are going to buy consoles because they want to go into the next adventure for Elder Scrolls. They want to experience the new Overwatch story. But yeah, again, like Jarrell said, you can definitely read my not sarcastic article on our website where I don't give them snide remarks.
Okay, well, I have some good things and bad things that I think about this. First thing, and I'm a little bit of a cynic on this one, but I completely agree with Gabe. It kind of sucks to know that Mr. Kotick is going to walk away with so much money from this deal. Like, whether he stays on or not after this, that guy's pretty much
he's walking away with money.
Yeah, and also, I don't remember which article I read, but it was talking about how he essentially didn't necessarily even want to sell Activision Blizzard, but he kind of had no choice because of the situation that he's in. He was kind of outvoted on that. So you know, it goes back to Kelly's point. I think it would be really great for workers to be able to finally have some backup, some support, you know, a place to work and feel comfortable and happy with, you know, where they work. And hopefully that goodwill will be able to spread not only throughout the company, but to the gaming industry, so that, you know, players can feel comfortable. You know, I can feel comfortable playing Hearthstone and Overwatch again, knowing that Microsoft is ensuring that the shit that was happening when they were, you know, an independent third-party developer is no longer happening. So I think that is technically a win for everyone in gaming. Not only for developers who are working really hard on these games to be protected, but also for fans who really enjoy these titles. Like, can't tell you guys how many hours I put into Overwatch to not be able to play anymore because I'm not supporting, you know, Blizzard Entertainment, or not playing World of Warcraft for the longest. To be able to feel good about the work that's being put in on those games and be able to support them once again is, I think, something that's gonna be really, really awesome. I don't like monopolies. I don't think that third-party developers as big as Activision Blizzard should be bought by anyone, period. You know, that's not to say that it's a bad thing, because so far PlayStation, Sony, and Microsoft have actually been really good at allowing whatever studios they purchase to make what they want. So to me, that's actually really great, right? Like, I don't think they're gonna buy, you know, Activision Blizzard and be like, all right, you guys have to make exactly what we say, because that's not what they do. They buy these companies and they support them. So I think that's really, really awesome. I just don't personally think that big third-party developers should be owned by Microsoft or Sony or anyone, because obviously it can prevent games from being played by everyone. And that sucks, because, you know, everybody should be able to play whatever they want. I don't think we should have, and this isn't technically a monopoly, so I won't call it that, but it can feel like one, because now it's a lot of people saying, okay, what's Sony gonna do now? Like, what's next? What are you guys gonna do to combat this huge purchase? You know, I saw there was a rumored $20 billion stock loss for Sony after this purchase, which is a big fucking deal. Like, there's so much happening from, you know, this one decision that's being made. The other thing I will say about this is that this can be really good for gamers. I know I feel like I'm flip-flopping here, but this can be really good for gamers, because all these titles coming to Game Pass means that even if I'll use Outriders as an example. Outriders came first to Game Pass for free, right? Now, we had the option to either go pay $70 to play this on PS5, or play it for free with a $15, $12 subscription. I'll say 15, because if you want to use the online, you have to use you have to get the $15.99 one. So I'll say $15.99. So either you're subscribed to Game Pass for $15.99 and you play this for free, or you pay $70 to try it out on PlayStation and never play it again, right? And that sounds really bad for Outriders. But in the future, with games like Call of Duty that release once a year, you will end up saving so much money as a gamer if you just play these games when they first release on Game Pass every year, right? That is a win for gamers. Just period, because now we're all just going to be saving money in the end, and that goes for StarCraft, that goes for Diablo 4 that's going to come out, that goes for anything that Activision Blizzard puts out that people still want to play. Save a shit ton of money and play those on Game Pass, or play them on PC with mods. Like, go at it, have a ton of fun. And also for consumers, it's really hard to get a PlayStation 5 right now. You can walk into a store and get a Series X. I literally just bought a Series X like 2 days ago out of Best Buy. It was just sitting there, like, out in the open. You can get a Series X. If you don't want a Series X, you can get a Series S. How much is that? Like $200, $300?
300.
You can go buy a $300 Series X, subscribe to Game Pass, and then still end up saving money in the long run by this deal with Activision Blizzard and Xbox. and just play all these brand new games digitally and have a huge library. I'm not saying that $300 is easily accessible, because it's not. Like, we literally are in such a weird state right now that it's not accessible, but a Series S is more accessible than a PlayStation 5 right now.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people are PC players as well, so I don't think anyone really loses in the end here. I mean, obviously you do if you don't have a PC or if you don't have an Xbox. And with the way that they talked about Bethesda ZeniMax, and it seems as if the new Skyrim is going to possibly be exclusive, and they have that other exclusive game that they're working on, Starfield. Obviously, I said back then, when you spend 7 billion, you obviously make exclusives with that money. If you spend 70 billion, you obviously make fucking exclusives with that money. So yeah, it goes both ways. I think it's good for Xbox players. It can be good for players overall. We can all save a lot of money. It sucks for players who are only on PlayStation. It'll probably suck in the future. It'll most likely, you know, grab more consumers for Game Pass, which is of course what Xbox wants. Phil Spencer has been very decisive about what he said about this. He specifically said that games that are already available, they will continue to be available. He didn't say anything about what the future holds, of course, because we don't know. But I think it'll just be fun to watch and see. Gabe, yes.
Sorry, so I meant to say this when I was talking, but we keep bringing up Call of Duty, and actually it was recently reported that Call of Duty is thinking about going away from the yearly release thing, and they're thinking about doing, like, you know, 2 years or 3 years, whatever. Just throwing that out there.
That's cool. That works for Assassin's Creed.
I mean, yeah, Call of Duty is the same game every year. So. Huh?
What's 16 times 12?
16 times 12?
Yeah.
Because I'm so good at math, I'm going to do this in my head right now. For everyone listening, I'm totally not taking out my calculator. 192.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Cool.
So you would have spent $192 a year on Game Pass and gotten, I'm sure, more brand new games than that's worth at the end of the day, if you were an Activision Blizzard fan. Now they just need to buy EA. Make it official. Buy fucking EA, let it go. And then Sony just go buy Square Enix and let it go. And share Square Enix
EA,
with Nintendo. And
you have to put down the initial payment, and then you have to put down like 2 more payments like within the next 3 months if you're trying to buy EA.
They're gonna buy EA, they're gonna buy Ubisoft, and you know, Sony's gonna buy Square Enix and let Nintendo borrow them, and Nintendo's just gonna be doing their own shit, and then we're just all gonna have to buy all the consoles.
I saw a hilarious picture where it was like Microsoft doing this news, and then people like, Sony should buy systems, and it just showed for Nintendo, just like showed a picture of Kirby fishing, just ignoring all this nonsense. Like
they shouldn't ignore it because their games are coming to Game Pass too. Look at you, Octopath Traveler. That was a Nintendo exclusive. It's not
anymore. I can't believe that's still not on PlayStation yet, but that's another story. Oh, by the way, I thought as we were talking about this, I just thought of a hypothetical now that Microsoft owns Activision Blizzard. In last year's E3, the digital event, because Microsoft has Bethesda now, their press conference was basically like a fusion of like the typical Microsoft show and then the Bethesda show. Now, the deal doesn't finalize until next year, so even if there is an E3, there's nothing going to really change with that. But what does that look like in 2023 for E3 with them? Not only, you know, Microsoft games got to be shown, Bethesda games got to get shown, and now they also got to show Activision Blizzard games. Like, what does that E3 look like for them? Do they go an extra half an hour? Like, they have a lot of time. Do the same thing, just present all three companies.
Because remember, they had that whole thing where they were like, yeah, we're gonna let Bethesda be their own thing like they always do.
That's what I'm saying.
Do the same thing for Activision Blizzard.
So you're saying the same time length, just like now all 3 announcements. Is that what you're saying?
Because they're not gonna stop.
Okay.
because remember, Blizzard has their own thing every year anyway.
Yeah, BlizzCon.
Yeah, like they have their own separate BlizzCon where they're gonna announce Diablo and Overwatch and World of Warcraft, etc. So it's not like they need to be there anyway. I don't think it's gonna be much different at all. But you know what is gonna be different?
What's that?
The way we say goodbye this time.
Oh, I gotta think of a clever way to say goodbye. Okay.
You just gotta say goodbye in a different way than you normally do. Because I already said it's gonna happen. So adios, everyone.
Ciao.
Goodbye, everyone.
Yes.
Set to explode.
Out my face.
All right, good night, guys. Bye.